Thank you for clicking on the help video. In this example, we need to use the graph below to determine the leading term with the least possible degree. So with the least degree possible. So the idea is that we have polynomials again. So recognize first of all this is a polynomial. So there's going to be an equation in the following format. And all we want to do is determine, okay, what is this term going to look? What number can this number possibly be? And what number can this number possibly be? Now, for simplification purpose, we're going to assume that a sub n will equal either positive 1 or negative 1, depending on the end behaviors of the graph. So for the one on the left, since the right side is pointing upwards, that means that the a sub n has to be a positive number, has to be greater than 0. So we're going to assume that it's going to be positive 1. So we have 1x to the power of what? Well, what's going to be the degree now? So to determine the degree, well, since we know that this side is pointing in the same direction, it's also pointing up, we know that the exponent has to equal to an even number, okay? But what's going to be the least possible even number? Because it could be 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. But what's going to be the least possible value? Well, recall from the first lesson that we did in this section, section in 5.3, we determined we talked about how to determine the degree of a polynomial from the graph by counting the number of turns. Since this thing has a total of 3 turns, adding 1 to that gives us the even value of 4. So the least possible degree is going to be 4. So this function has to have a positive coefficient. So for example, like 1, doesn't necessarily be 1, but 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And the degree has to be at least 4. So this is the leading term for this polynomial to have something to look like this. It would have to start off with a positive x to the 4th power. It could be higher, it could be 6, it could be 8, but we know it has to at least start with this. So this is what we're looking for right there. So the same thing with this example. The idea again, what would be the least coefficient? Well, in this example, because the graph is going downwards, the only difference would be that the leading term would be a negative 1. And again, because we still have the 3 turns, 3 plus 1 is 4, the exponent would have to be 4. So this would be our answer here of what the leading term with the least possible degree would be. I hope you found this video helpful, and I appreciate you watching.